Mr. Ryan Haney is going to handle Representative Butler's House Bill 326. And members, this bill was dual referred to us under the rules because it does increase a fee. That's correct?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Chairman, members of the committee. I'm here helping Representative Butler on a Sunday, cover for kind of last minute. She asked me and Senator Wheat to help her with this bill. HB 326 is much needed by the cosmetology industry. I'm here representing Aveda, Neal Corporation out of Hammond. The cosmetology fee has not been raised in 26 years. We had really great treatment in Senator Mizell's committee and Commerce Committee. A number of you members serve on Commerce. We actually reduced the request. We originally had requested a $25 increase, which would double the fee, and this is the fee on a cosmetology license or a salon. They haven't had a raise, as I said, in 26 years. Their costs have gone up. If you think about it, that's the cost of a haircut. I know in my wife's world, I wish her haircuts were $25. Maybe a good tip or a poor tip. But I appreciate you guys, and we do have some folks from the Cosmetology Board. If y'all have any questions, the Commerce Committee looked deeply into their finances, their costs. They're operating in a deficit. They have a huge amount of building repairs they need. They need technology repairs.
Ryan, for bringing the bill. As you so adequately pointed out, the need for the fee increase was based on substantial data that was presented over the 26 years since they've had a raise of fee, and during that time, there's some maintenance repairs, I think, to the tune of about $1 million they need to get done on their building. They are working in a deficit right now. As that, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve moving forward.
Okay, thank you. In opposition wishing to speak, and I'll call both of you to come down, Mr. Robert Burns and Reverend Freddie Phillips.
Okay, good afternoon. My name is Reverend Freddie Phillips. I have been with this bill since the House, Chairman Desatel, until now. The first thing that I want to mention is that I've asked for the numbers since that side, and I've come over to the Commerce side of the Senate and have not gotten them. I also put in for a FOIA request to receive those numbers on the 21st after Senator Mizell's recommendation, and I have not received those numbers yet. I have some reservations as to how this is going forward. The first thing that I want to bring out is that Senator Mizell referenced that the board get a performance audit to kind of see how they were operating. I also said that this board has not managed their properties firmly or fairly. They had an opportunity to make repairs, deferred maintenance, and they let it exist until it became damaging to their building. The building probably costs about $500,000 at value. They're trying to put $1 million of repair into it. But I refer my experience to deferred maintenance as to my brake light indicator came on in my car. I ignored it. What was a $45 fix became a $350 fix because I had to get calipers and rotors and everything else. This board had a $1.6 million fund budget that they could have very well subjugated and put that information into practice and utilize that money, saying that to give them a blank check would be almost like telling them to do what they want and nobody's going to oversee it. They quoted out at $750,000 for a computer system. I have not yet seen any numbers that this board has presented. I requested at Senator Mizell's request to get a FOIA request so that I can see the numbers. I don't see any of that. But I do recommend that this board, in order, on the outside of precaution, would put in a 2-year sunset to see whether or not they do right by what they do right and take her advice. She recommended a performance audit, and they haven't moved forward in doing anything yet. Still don't have any numbers. They come before this committee seeking to get a $10 raise. I've said this, that they prevented income from coming in by closing schools and also pushing away from the industry. They had opportunities. They fought a hair braiding bill that could have very well gone through the committee and generated, like Mississippi, $120,000 to $140,000 a year. And that right now, they have not provided me or anyone else with enough information to say this is warranted. And I've asked for it from the day one, from the House side to this side. I haven't seen any numbers yet. I have a performance contractor accreditation certification. I know what buildings cost. I know what repairs cost. Hadn't seen anything. Haven't done anything. Senator Booley also asked extensive questions. Senator Mazzell. They've all been in the committee. I've been here 2 or 3 times, and I'm saying that this is not the way you're supposed to do business. If I was an investor and this was a trade company, I'll be resolute in trying to do business with them because they haven't shown me enough information to validate the justification of what they're trying to do. I have no documentations to look at. I have no numbers to crunch to see whether or not that they took the adequate approach of getting proper bids from various companies or they came in. I can say this. When Representative Butler got up and said that it was $30,000 to $40,000 for the cost of tuition, she made a correction and she referred to a school owner for information. While on the hallway, the school owner told us what the repairs would be. The board did not provide any of that information. He provided that to us. And I'm saying to myself, why would he be doing the work for the board? I don't have no problem with Mr. Haney coming up, but at the same time, Senator Butler could not be here. We have not gotten transparency from this board since the day I've inquired for the numbers that they have supposed to present. Senator Mazzell can attest to it. I've been very adamant about it, trying to see whether or not they are doing everything they could do to make this work for what they're trying to do. And they haven't showed me that yet.
We appreciate your participation and coming down today. And Senator Mizell has some questions for you.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr.
I'm sorry.
Sorry. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, but thank you for coming back again. I mean, you are dedicated to getting to the bottom of this, and I appreciate that because we're talking about a lot of money.
Exactly.
What I'd like to do is assure you that next year there will be I don't want to say a requirement, but we're going to reach out as Commerce Committee and ask for a line-by-line impact. You know, they asked for 25 to bring it up to 50. We brought it down to 35 because you were in the meeting. There was some questions as to the validity of the numbers, either of the repairs or their current state. So all that has had an impact on what we want to see with the rope that we've given them. And I just want you to know when you leave here, it's not going to be overlooked to look at the numbers for next year.
And you can raise that as a concern for something you think we should look into.
Yes, sir. Let me make a jeopardy statement in that regards. There needs to be a sunset on that particular bill if it's going to go through to see whether or not they do everything that she recommended and other committee members suggested to this board to do. If there are no clauses in place, no teeth in place to see to it that they do what they're supposed to do, then we don't know what they're going to do.
Right.
And if you give them a green light, they're going to run the red light every time.
Thank you, Senator Foyle. My name is Robert Burns, and very briefly, I know there's a lot of commonality between this and the Senate Commerce Committee. So I did farm the video blog Sound Off Louisiana, and I have covered both of the Senate Commerce Committee hearings. I will certainly cover this one as well. I am an inactive CPA. I have held that certification for 35 years. I have always hoped they would bring a CPA to come up and refute my testimony. So far, that has not happened. I am also a former bank examiner, and I can just tell you that the prior 2 features have been quite entertaining. I don't know any other word to use for my former colleagues who are in disbelief that this would be acted upon with no more information than this. Let me just stress a few things. The board, although it took a while to get it out, they are sitting on $1.6 million. That finally was stipulated to. They are bringing in, now they're bringing in additional money, but we're going to focus just on the renewal of the cosmetology license. They are bringing in an average of 112 checks per day, every single day, holidays, weekends. That equates to $2,800 per day. okay? They ran a $60,000 profit last year. These are all numbers coming straight off of the Louisiana Legislative Auditor's website. This board, contrary to testimony that's been made not once but twice now, is not in any kind of imminent danger of collapse. It has been testified to that, well, in 2 years we'll be out of business. That is just flatly not accurate, okay? It's not. And there has been no CPA to come up here and repudiate what I am saying. It's just not factual. Furthermore, over the last 4 years, they've reduced the accrued liability for pensions by $600,000. This board is doing phenomenally well. They know that for the first time in 6 years, they're not facing any litigation. So I believe that, and Senator Connick had brought up originally on May the 14th, the potential for allowing a fee increase for 2 years and then sunsetting it. I thought that was an excellent suggestion because I do not believe that granting a 40% increase in the numbers I just gave you going out ad infinitum is justifiable. Yet that's where we stand. We stand in a position of, according to the latest fiscal note, which has been revised downward, generating an additional $400,000 a year forever. I don't think that's warranted. I don't think the past performance of this board, and Senator Foyle, I was asked to bring this, so I did. It was handed to you right before. It's a little one-paragraph resolution that the board made on July the 25th of 2022, basically saying we're not going to require a permit for doing the microdermabrasion. I struggle with that word, but at any rate, that did not go over well with some of their licensees. Whenever there was an attempt to increase the number of hours required for an advanced aesthetics designation, I got flooded with young ladies who wanted to go on camera to oppose it. I'm not sure how you do this, because either there's a statutory requirement to charge licensees for the permit or there's not. If there is, you can't just get rid of it by way of a board resolution. So, yeah, okay, you have it. So
I do, and we'll pass it out to the committee members.
Okay. So I would
is that your
hope-
request? Would you like me to pass it out to the committee?
I would like that, yes.
We'll do that.
It's very short, but I don't understand, either there is a statutory requirement to require the permit and charge for it, or there's not. If there is, you cannot just waive it by way of a board resolution. So, but I know going all the way back to 2015, then Chairman Edwin Neal and Mr. Young wanted to come here and get it to where they could increase fees simply through rule promulgation. And I saw what was in their minutes to attempt to try to do that. I think everyone would know you can't do that either. So and to the point that was made, I don't think any CPA, I don't think anybody who does any kind of performance audit would say you can justify spending over $1 million. And I called real estate brokers. I'm a former real estate broker myself. The estimated value of the building is between $650 and $675, give or take. Then we looked at comps to do that. I don't know how anyone can justify spending over $1 million in a building of that nature. The board should not be in the property management business in the first place. I think a performance audit would probably suggest selling that building and then leasing state-of-the-art facilities, but certainly not pouring $1 million into a building that's barely worth half that. So those are things that I believe really ought to be addressed, and I think at best case, 2-year sunset amendment would make far more sense than giving them a blank check, $400,000 a year, particularly when on May the 14th, there were no numbers. They readily admitted, we don't have any numbers. Ms. Morris testified that, hey, it's over $100,000, so we got to go through the procurement process. A week later, they suddenly had numbers that were hugely larger than they were estimated by Mr. Young. I have him on video estimating what he thought the cost would be at board meetings. I find it interesting that they rose so significantly, but I share Reverend Phillips's concern that he made public record. He has been seeking ever since he testified at the House, I did not, at the House Commerce Committee, seeking to get numbers for what they're seeking to do. Nobody ever gave any numbers. There were no numbers thrown out on the House floor. Until I spoke up at the May 14th meeting, I started throwing out a lot of numbers because I am an inactive CPA, and I guess we like doing that. But I don't think it's responsible to come before a committee and ask and not have those numbers. And I have severe reservations over whatever numbers you all may be privy to be looking at that we so far have not been able to. And as he pointed out, there was a school owner that opened some folder and said, well, here, the roof alone cost $53,000. So I have to believe that this was put, and in the public records request, Ms. Tasha Butler says, I don't know anything. She's the coordinator over everything. She said, I don't know anything about this. I had no role whatsoever in the compilation of any numbers to be presented to the senators. I have no idea what was presented to the senators. So it would seem to me that this kind of a record should have come from the board, and it appears to have come from licensees within the industry, which I think, my personal opinion, sends a very bad look. Because, down the road it's, well, oh, okay, there was a violation for that licensing. Oh, well, they really helped us out on the fee increase, so maybe we ought to look the other way. I'm just telling you how it looks. And I appreciate the opportunity to have addressed you with the concerns that I have. If anyone has questions, I'll be happy to try to answer them. Whatever y'all decide, obviously, that's why y'all make the big bucks. So,
Well, we appreciate you taking the time. We do have some questions by Senator Luno, so let me recognize Senator Luno.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Are you familiar, sir, with the issues with their pension system?
well, yes, and if you're talking about the unfunded accrued liability, that's why I referenced it's gone down $600,000. That's why I said all of the focus has been on the liquidity side, not on the earning side. But yes, I am.
So they need to be able to pay that back and get that back in balance. Would that be correct?
As does the state of Louisiana, gradually, yes.
And so you don't believe that they need any extra funding to try to do that? You think they currently have enough funding to do that?
If you continue to operate at a profit as they have, that yes, it would. Now, they're not going to have I hope, they're not going to have the legal expenses that they have had. At least right now, they're not being sued. So I believe that, and especially and I have no idea how the braiding bill is going to fare. I have absolutely no idea. But I do know one thing. And he was here. Both of us testified in 2018. The governor of this state, John Bell Edwards, actively supported freeing hair braiders.
You know how important you people are in coming here. I just got a text message from the governor who's watching this meeting, and he said, I think you should let one of the ladies at the witness table demonstrate your craft by braiding my hair. So.
He actively supported it. He made it known. Senator Mizell, you were there.
Let's go back to my question. My question is more, these people haven't had a raise in their fees in 26 years. Is that what I heard?
That is correct.
Are you aware of any other entity that charges fees that haven't had a raise in 26 years?
I think the auctioneer license board has probably been longer than that, but
It just seems
And they're
pretty
flush
amazing to
with
me
cash.
that they can continue to operate, at rates that they were given 26 years ago. We don't sunset fee requests. Most of the time, the fee requests are done because most of the people in the organization agree that they need the increase. You talked about us giving this raise in this request in this bill and they weren't in imminent danger of collapse. Am I missing something? Did they have to be in imminent danger of collapse before we can give them an increase in their fees?
no, but that's been the testimony. Is we won't be around in 2 years. So, and I have refuted that testimony over and over again. It's all on video. Mr. Young has stated we can make it 2 more years, and then I will either have to start laying people off or we won't exist. That is not going to be the case. I mean, you would have to literally lose $1 million a year for that to be the case. It's not going to happen.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. We have some questions.
One statement before I walk out.
Yep. Real quick, please.
Yes, sir. No problem with that. But I took my Senator Mizell's advice. I've done everything she recommended, and still to this day haven't gotten any information to make a determination as to whether or not there is substantial enough information for what they're asking for based on what they have not provided.
Yeah.
That's what's got me. They got the information. I didn't, and I submitted for it.
I appreciate your diligence and bringing this to our attention. I've learned some things today I didn't know about, but for you coming down here today. So it is helpful. So I do appreciate you coming.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, sir.
And the operating expenses from '24 to '23 it looks like is unsustainable.
So on July 1st, when the other agencies have funds available to spend, this agency would not have any funds available to spend unless they had a fund balance. So they carry a fund balance which is less than their operating budget for the year, so that the first week of July, they can make payroll, they can pay utilities, they can pay all of the operating costs. So the $1.5
Let me
million
stop you right there.
fund balance.
Is that a reflection of when the dues come in? It's higher at certain times of the year, and that fund balance may escalate during that time, but then over time, it goes down, if I'm not correct. Can you
So
speak
the
to that?
individual licensees renew their licenses on their birthdays. So they have $1 million in their audit is a snapshot, right? That is not their bank balance any particular day.
Thank you, Barry.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you, Ms. Morris. The board's clear. I have no further cards, no further questions. What's the pleasure of the committee? Senator Wheat moves that we report House Bill 326 favorable. Any objections? Hearing no objections, House Bill 326 is reported favorable. Thank you.